little bit about the history of your land and when you began working with Legacy Land Conservancy.
We moved out to the farm from our house on Clinton Street in Stockbridge, where my father, who was a doctor, had his office, to the farm in 1948. And originally there were 40 acres. This was an old farm that had pretty much been farmed out, but my father was a great gardener and interested in nature, and he thought this would be a great place to raise his family. My family lived here until my father died in 1982 and my mother died in 1995. We decided that in their memory we would try to preserve the land. We divided it up so that there would be 7 acres around the house and 30 acres of woods, 30 acres plus of woods and fields. And these we wanted to preserve in some sort of land trust. So at that time, the Potawatomi Land Trust was headed by Barry Lonick, and we contacted Barry and had a very good relationship and decided to deed the 30 acres to the Potawatomi Land Trust in 1997. That land trust, of course, was incorporated into the Washington All Land Trust and eventually became the Legacy Land Trust.
What does your property consist of?
The property consists of 3 sort of open meadows, a large pine woods, a creek running around the periphery of the property to the north, and a woodlot along the creek on the west side, and the marsh, a wetland.
Can you tell us what a preserve exactly is?
Our conception of what a preserve is an open space that will be protected from any development. We want it to be used for quiet recreational purposes.
I know it's an easement too. Can you explain what an easement is?
An easement means that we retain ownership and we can sell the 7 acres. The preserve has been donated to the Legacy Land Trust so that is permanently preserved. But the easement means that there are very strong restrictions on the changes that can be introduced.
What kinds of things have you accomplished since donating your land?
Well, we have been active in cooperation with volunteers from the Legacy Land Conservancy in creating trails, marking trails, building a bridge, taking out invasive species.
Encourage native plants.
Can you expand a little bit on the bridge building?
We needed the bridge because the woodlot is on the other side of the creek. Now, of course, since the public had more access to the land, it had to meet code. So it became a much more significant bridge. And we had several days project involving numerous volunteers from the Legacy Land Trust, building seats to receive the piers, and then carting them down to the creek and putting them in place. So it was great fun.
I know, Andrew, you're very involved with the removal of invasive species. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, invasive species are probably the largest threat to the native ecological systems, and you know there's been quite a few invasive species that moved into the property. A lot, are kind of escaped agricultural or landscaping plants like the Japanese barberry and autumn olive. The last few months, about 5 months, I've been out there digging and cutting and sawing and spraying.
I know last time we were here we saw a family of deer. Is that typical of the Conservancy?
Well, yes and no, because we don't have a family, we have a herd. 36 have been counted at one time, known to be individual animals, and we have counted at one time 61 wild turkeys, so there's a lot of wildlife out here.
What are your plans for the future of Beckwith Conservancy?
Well, we want to continue to keep up the trails in cooperation with the Legacy Land Conservancy. We hope to have a local group more active in helping us with that, to continue taking out invasives and alien plants and replanting with native species. There already are a nice little collection of spring wildflowers in the woodlot. We would like to encourage them.